when did you guys start grappling? I know we covered it a little bit, but when did you start grappling before jiu-jitsu?
I didn't really grapple at all before jiu-jitsu.
No?
Nope. I was just a big UFC fan from like early 2000s. I like BJ Penn. Like I like the strikers.
Right.
Everybody like, Chuck Liddell, those guys. But my guy was like BJ Penn, GSP. So seeing those grapplers, I was like, man, that's cool that you could defeat somebody on the ground using technique. And BJ Penn was not the most imposing looking guy either. So I was like,
No, he wasn't.
I was always too short for a lot of the sports. So that was like the guy I looked towards. But as far as wrestling or anything, I didn't do it. Couldn't get over the singlet thing, when I was in high school. I was like chasing girls or whatever.
So, a different type of singlet, I guess.
Yeah.
You're chasing fight less.
Yeah. So, it was just not something I was into. I tried different sports in high school, but again, I just didn't have the physical attributes for it. So
you didn't have the physical attributes for other sports, but for jiu-jitsu you did?
Yeah, I just feel like with jiu-jitsu, if you're smart enough, you could get somewhere too.
That makes sense.
You don't have to be the most physical person. I mean, at least to get to the top, it all matters, But to do well, I think if you have a good brain on you, you could do really well.
Right.
In jiu-jitsu.
So when was that you started it?
I started around when I was 28.
Wow, you started late, huh?
Yeah, I started late. The girl I was dating at the time, she had started jiu-jitsu. And I was like, man, I got to do it too. So
your girl started, you're like, I can't let this be this way. I got to go.
Yeah, the girl I was dating at the time, we were living apart at the time, and she had started with a Groupon. And I was like, man, there's a school nearby, and I would drive by it all the time. I just never stopped by. And I was like, this is my chance. So I actually went to the front like 3 times, because 2 times I just didn't go in. Windows were foggy. Everybody was like 200 plus.
That's intimidating.
Yeah, and I don't know anything, and I'm like, man, this looks like a pro level training, And then one day, like while I was looking, they just snatched me up from the front and they're like, hey, come over here. Yeah, so
28 is late, man. Like, and especially like if you see those foggy windows and you see those big guys rolling, it's intimidating. A lot of people won't even walk in.
Yeah,
especially like when you're older. As a kid, it might seem cool, but as an adult, it can be very intimidating. You have to really check your ego to go in there. And a sense of bravery, I guess, to go in and be like, I'm going to train.
Yeah.
And then you were saying that you started when you were 10, right?
Yeah, around 10, 11. I started wrestling. I wrestled throughout middle school, high school. Then I left for college to play football, actually, tore my ACL. Came back. Then I helped out a little bit with the wrestling program at Southwest.
Oh, really?
For a little bit. One of my best friends was a coach at Riviera Middle School.
Okay.
So I was always kind of around it. And actually before that, when I was about 15, I had my mother's co-worker's husband.
Mother's co-worker, okay.
Yeah. He fought in UFC 5.
Whoa.
So he was a Kempo guy. This guy really Radicia.
Oh, okay.
Kempo karate.
Okay.
So he asked me to go a couple times just to try to like stop the takedowns.
Right.
Because they didn't know anything about like grappling at all. Everything was for them was just straight striking.
Right.
So I went, and that was like my first little, I guess the first introduction to any kind of jiu-jitsu. When they started talking about that, and then he lost because he didn't know anything about ground stuff. Right. So he got submitted, and then after that, then he started training jiu-jitsu a little bit more hardcore. He ended up getting his black belt from whatever school there.
Yeah.
And while he was in the process of like training, going through his belts and all that, he would invite me, so I would go every once in a while and train with him. So
How was the jiu-jitsu landscape back then? Like you said, UFC 5, so that's gonna be what?
95.
95. How was it? How did it look in Miami, or you were living in Miami? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't remember anything.
There was like no school or anything, right?
Yeah, at all.
So you got on pretty early, at least here in the city.
Like a little taste, I wasn't. I definitely wouldn't say that I was like training.
Right.
That didn't come till later on, but I would go every once in a while, and then a good buddy of mine, this guy Dennis, that he comes from that Southwest wrestling background too. Real super high level. He's a coach now over there. Then we would just go to like open mats randomly, and we just go and like.
Open mats back then had to be crazy.
Yeah, but the level wasn't what it is now.
That's a good point.
So like as a white belt with a good wrestling background, we would go and we would like bang out purples and browns,
Right.
Obviously now it's a lot harder to do that.
Yeah, because the technical level, like you were saying, so there's probably like a bunch of tough guys rolling around on the mats, and then now it's probably a higher technical level.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is what makes it tough as well. So it's like one is tough in sense of the people you may have been facing back then, and the other one's tough in technical level, which is interesting. So you were able to see kind of like a progression of jiu-jitsu through Miami and through like 1995, which is really when it was introduced here.
And the different schools too, right? Like I went to enough different schools to see their styles, right? Like the more traditional, like you can't touch the feet, more gi heavy, like praise the professor, type schools, to the more kind of like lax leg locker guys.
That seems to be the trend now.
Yeah.
Like that, they're moving away from that, I guess, idealization towards more of like your more meritocracy type of jiu-jitsu, which is great. You know what I mean? So you get to learn from somebody that's kind of like you consider your peer, rather than just blindly following into the darkness of grappling or whatever this person says is what they're going to do. That's pretty interesting that you got to see that and how it progressed. So you guys have Mortalis, which I saw for the first time on Thursday. It's a beautiful school. I like the way you guys have it set up, really, like with the Japanese art. I like how you put the music on. It looks very clean. Did you guys always want to open up an academy? And was it something that when there was a point when you're training, like, I want to open up an academy? And how did you decide to do that?
For me,
because that's a big step. Opening a business is a big step. You know what I mean? Yeah.
For me, I had started with Wagner Rocha. So I was a big help for Wagner getting his leg locks as like a blue purple belt. I was really like going deep into the leg lock game, and Ruben Alvarez also, who's been like guiding me through this whole thing too.
Right.
One of the first guys taught me like a straight ankle lock, So I started with that. Eddie Cummings started coming around.
Really?
Yeah. So like not to the gym. I'm just saying like that's when he was on the scene, and I was really studying the guy, and I was just trying to mimic him, and I just started tapping, black belts as early as white belt, with leg locks early on, like 2013, 2014. So Wagner started seeing that, like, hey man, this guy is picking up this system pretty quick, and not a lot of people know how to deal with it,
Right.
Especially like cross ashi. Before you put somebody in cross ashi, it was like game over, So
did they call it cross ashi back then? Like when you started doing the leg locks, or was it just
they called it like 411 or something?
Right.
I forget. There's so many names.
Yeah,
it's hard to catch up. So I taught Wagner for a while, and I remember when I was like a purple belt outside, he was like, "Man, you should teach. Like, you should really look into this."
That's a good praise.
Yeah, and I just, I never did jiu-jitsu to own a school. I never did it to even chase a black belt or whatever. I just did it. I liked it. Never stopped coming back. I was just like not really chasing belts. Like, of course, everybody wants that next belt, right?
Right.
But it was never like a goal for me to have a black belt. So, he was one of the first ones, and then Ruben also. I would go with him in seminars, and then he was seeing how I was helping him, and I was teaching, and he was like, "Hey, man, you should look into teaching. Something you should do." And then over the years, I was like, man, this is something I want to do. I was not happy with my career life, just get stale.
Man. Right, I get that.
Yeah, so I was just like, man, this is like, I need to do this. And then that's when me and David linked up, and we were like, hey, let's just go for it,
That's great, man. That's great, because a lot of the best instructors are ones that don't think about going into it. I was talking to the ground game theory guys, and they were the same way. They don't want to mix their passion with the work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's probably a good indicator of somebody that's, because some people open schools for like ego. I'm a black boy, I'm going to have my school, whatever. And I think that people that really think about it as the art and are not egotistical about it, and that open schools actually do a lot better than when it comes to teaching. Which brings me to my next question, is that you guys have a pretty good school and you have really good competitors. How do you guys balance getting competitors ready and having game competitors and having, because most of the business is not going to be competitors, right? How do you balance that when it comes to structuring classes and teaching?
So as far as that, I would say, like, depending on what is coming up, we will change the curriculum a little bit. So let's say it's EBI overtime, we might be working on back and maybe arm bar escapes, and we just kind of like change the curriculum around that, because especially when we first started, we only had a 6:30 afternoon class as far as like a majority of the people that go to, right? So I would have to change it depending on what's coming up. So we knew somebody was a leg locker. Okay, we work in leg lock defense, So yeah, this is kind of catering to everybody, but at the same time benefiting our competitors.
Right.
And then we'd also do like Shark Tank rounds with them. We would put them through, we'll jump in when we'll get, Shark Tanks just with those competitors, separate them from the room, making sure those getting those rounds, drilling,
So that's great. So you guys are able to separate when somebody's coming up. You have your competitors really focus on that competition, and then you're able to cater also to the people that are hobbyists, and which is the majority of the business that comes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people are going to go 2 or 3 times a week. And they want to get better at jiu-jitsu, but being able to cater to your athletes as well as they're getting ready for competition is great. It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, we like to train, right?
That's
so like we'll roll with them, at least as much as we can. We're not backed up.
Right.
I'll jump in especially with Steven, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I can, I try to go with him. My other brother, Alex, that he's starting to get into it more. Vic, Damien. Damien, I probably rolled with the most this past year.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, because he's the easiest to control. He's not at a high enough level yet that I have to really worry, But yeah, I mean, honestly.
No, that's a good way to put it, because you see it that way, that you obviously you want your competitors to be great and catching shit. That's just the way it is. Yeah. So like it's great that you see it's like now I'm gonna build them up so that way and it gets to that level. So how many times a week are you guys rolling? Every week, every day?
I pretty much roll every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like now I teach sometimes in the morning, then in the afternoon. So I'm either rolling in the morning or rolling at night. I'm not trying to burn myself out. Or I'll only roll once in the morning with one of the guys, and then at nighttime I'll try to get the bulk of my rolling.
So you're rolling twice?
Yeah, so I've done 3 classes a day where I'll roll with a couple people. And I'm getting up there. So by Sunday, you just feel your whole body vibrating and just laying on that bed. And I'm sure you guys all been there.
Oh, dude, yeah, I feel that. Especially like after, if you're doing like tough, if you do have one really tough session, that can take your day.
Yeah. And I haven't been pushing myself as hard as I used to. Like I'm still giving guys rounds and stuff, but it's not like when I used to do, 7 days a week training, and I would go to one open mat to another open mat. Like that's stuff like Damien's doing right now. Damien will leave our open mat, he'll go to ground game, and then he'll drive up in Broward. He'll do 3 open mats. And if you guys seen Damien, he doesn't stop. He'll roll 7, 8, 9 times in each open mat. Doesn't get tired.
His cardio's gotta be crazy.
His cardio's, I don't think,
no,
when he even says he gets tired, he's still moving like he's not tired. Like he's an animal.
You gotta love the game, If your wins roll like that, and even when you're tighter like that, you gotta love jiu-jitsu to a certain point. It's crazy. Yeah, do you guys compete too?
I haven't competed in years.
Is it because of the gym? Is it because you want to focus on your athletes? My
thing was my day job. It was like it consumed a lot, stress and everything like that. So I competed here and there coming up. I am going to compete soon. I plan to compete a little bit more this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like to do an open, do the master class for the open.
Which open? The Abu Dhabi? The one in Orlando?
The 80cc Open. I don't know if they're going to do it in Orlando next or in Miami. Is it in Orlando?
I think it is. I think it's in Orlando.
Okay, if it's Orlando, we'll go back because we went last year.
It's July 21st or something like that, I think.
Yeah,
that's
so
a competition.
Yeah, I like to get ready for that one and do the Masters division on that. Can't be going with these young guys.
Fuck those motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're too. I'm not durable enough for those guys anymore.
What about you, Dave? You thinking about competing?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get my body to feel.
You feel good?
I'm a little bit banged up, but yeah, I did it's kind of whatever. Technically, I competed.
Yeah.
In October, November, because it was an old guy. It was like.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in my division.
Right. But then it was like probably one of those hobbyists that really don't do it every day.
Yeah, it really wasn't like I saw the guy. And I was like, it wasn't like a real match.
Yeah,
I mean, it was real, right? Like he's my age, my level, right? But it wasn't, you know what I mean? So that was like October, November,
but if you guys are rolling with your students, you guys probably have a really good maintenance of your body.
Man,
like you don't have any like devastating injuries like that, right?
I mean, I broke my leg.
And that one was bad.
Yeah, I broke my leg end of 2022. So that took me out for at least like 4 months, 3-4 months. And then I was back rolling by like April.
Shit, so 4 months with a broken leg, dude? Like that's pretty quick recovery, though.
That was pretty fast.
Yeah, that's really fast.
Yeah, I took BPC 157.
I don't even know what that is, dude, but I'm gonna say yes.
all the peptides.
Oh, okay.
So I took peptides and stuff to try to speed up, and then physical therapy. I was going 3 times a week, and then
What part of the leg did you break?
I broke my fibula.
Okay.
They call it fibula.
Yeah,
I was getting mixed up with fibula and
Yeah,
fibula.
yeah.
I broke my fibula. End of the night, one of my students went for a takedown. I was 4-pointed. So he kind of went for like a little backwards trip and jammed my leg up on the ground. So he just snapped it.
Yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, super nice.
No, I know. But still, just thinking about that the way that it happened and breaking a leg is a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I've never broken a leg. But my brother broke his leg and like his femur playing football.
Oh, that's bad.
And he was out for like, they said it was like a car crash. And he was out for like a while. So when you said 4 months, I was like, fuck, that's quick, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was coming back, it was not like I was rolling 100%. You know,
Right.
I was just adjusting my game to the broken leg, playing on one side, and
You
then,
probably got really good at that side though.
I mean, I've never really had a bad side. I've
No,
always
yeah.
like I play guard. Like David will tell you, like I play guard on both sides. I could pass to both sides. Like
Yeah.
I don't have like a weak side. And I don't even know when that happened. I just think like early on working with Wagner, he's like, oh, work both sides, and you always have that bad side, and then after a while, like I just don't have.
But you probably still have a side that, like, when you're competing or you're rolling, let's say you're competing, there's probably, you have a preferable side.
I do have a preferable side that I prefer to play with, and I could definitely feel a difference. But
Yeah.
I play both sides well enough where you can't tell which one is my bad side.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like,
some guys you can tell. Some
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
You pass to the left and then you go to the right one time and you're like,
Yeah, you're blowing my spot here, bro. I'm that guy that goes to one side. Like, I'll go right.
Most guys are like that.
Yeah.
You know? So like even early on with a blue belt, I rolled with a black belt, and he was like, "Hey, you're left-handed," and I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Okay, I tried passing this way, didn't work. I tried passing that way." I was like, "I work both sides," you know. Like,
Yeah.
So
Is that something you try to instill in your students? I guess you have to, right? Like, try both sides.
man, I try to. People always pick one side anyways.
Yeah.
I try to. The guys who are competitors are going to try to work both sides, you know.
no, I'll tell them when I roll. If I roll with somebody and I notice that, I'm like, yeah, we got to work on that side. You know?
And then you're gonna attack that side.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. You guys also do, which I like, is you incorporate wrestling into your jiu-jitsu. I don't know if it was just that day, but if that's something that's every day with you guys.
Yeah, all the days that I'm there, we wrestle first. So we do like 30, 40 minutes of wrestling to start the class.
That's great.
And then we go into the jiu-jitsu technique.
And do you guys like link the wrestling with the jiu-jitsu?
No, it's just David will teach some simple setups.
Okay.
They're chained together, you know, and we keep a theme going with the wrestling, and then the jiu-jitsu is usually, you know, something different, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure guys feel comfortable on the feet. So working it a little bit every day or most of the week, you
That
know.
makes sense.
Because
You probably can't link all the classes with wrestling with jiu-jitsu. It's probably impossible.
yeah, it's really tough.
Now that I
Unless
think
like
about it.
if David was teaching, let's say wrestling and the jiu-jitsu, he might be able to do that. But since I'm bringing in the jiu-jitsu portion,
Yeah.
and then he's doing the wrestling portion, it's kind of hard to like, hey David, I want you to land in this position. You know, it's like it's kind of tough.
And what I like about you guys is that you guys have two like head instructors.
Yeah.
And training with ground game, the two head instructors is it's great to have because you have different perspectives of maybe the same technique, but there's certain details that one knows and the other one doesn't know, and they can bring that together.
Yeah, and
So-
our games are very different.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like what would you consider your games? Like your style, I guess.
I would say David is more wrestling heavy.
Right.
A lot of
pressure, pulling on their head,
Like when you're passing?
Huh?
When you're passing, you just
like all the time.
yeah.
so your neck's gonna be sore.
Yeah, guillotines, doors,
Oh, front headlock
arm
systems?
triangle, yeah, all of that. You know, I'll drop back for the legs too, but definitely more upper body stuff.
So chokes, going straight to chokes.
Yeah.
And your style is more
I'm more guard. I've been wrestling up a lot more too, so I like to wrestle up or sweep from the bottom. I've been working a lot of passing and pressure passing lately too. I do good on the back. My triangles are really good, and you know, my leg locks are pretty good.
Yeah, it seems like that's like you mentioned the leg locks and back archer. That seems like something that you really enjoy to do.
I wouldn't say enjoy. I would say it took a lot of my time. You know, early on, I feel like in the last couple of years, I kind of drifted from it a little bit just to work on other parts of the game.
Right.
Like guard retention. Like that's one of the things I try to pride is like it's really hard to pass my guard, and that's I kind of stepped away from the legs as much because everybody's gotten good at defending legs.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, why am I putting so much into that when everybody's doing that. I could be working on other parts of the game. I already know that stuff.
Right.
I don't know it 100%. Like nobody could say they're
Right.
100%. Unless you're Gordon or something. But I just wanted to strengthen the other parts of my game. So I feel like I have a decent game pretty much all around. I would say like wrestling is what I've been trying to pick up on lately.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Which is what he does,
That's great.
And his front headlocks and stuff, like definitely, I don't have what he does in front headlocks.
Probably comes natural because of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Stop down, do it straight to the headlock. It's probably something that's go-to for you guys. That's great that like your styles are different because you give so much more to your students.
Yeah.
It's great.
And we help each other, right? Like, because of my wrestling, his wrestling is getting better. Because of his, leg attacks and triangles, I'm getting better at that too, So, like, it helps our jiu-jitsu as well, just overall.
That's great. How do you guys create kind of like I guess like a schedule for your competitors? Let's say competitions are coming up, and obviously there's ones that some are bigger than the others, and you have certain competitors that you want to align your professional goals with them, or your training goals with their professional goals. So you guys kind of tell them, listen, this is the competition you should do. This is not what you should do in terms of where they should compete.
We try to.
Yeah.
We try to, but competitors do what they want to do. Let's say Damien, for example. We'll tell Damien, hey, don't do new breed, do this event. Damien will sign up to both. And then he'll sign up to the open and 3 weight classes.
Oh, he's going to compete too. And the Jiu-Jitsu Sisterhood one that's coming up, right?
Yeah, he should be doing that. He should be doing new breed.
Oh, the new breed's coming up right now?
Yeah.
He's doing everything.
Yeah, he does everything.
That's good to know. The experience of competition is great. You know what I mean? You're not worried about injury?
As far as him?
Yeah.
All the time, but he just doesn't listen. He just, there's only so much you can do. Like, we're business owners and we're providing a service. And at the end of the day, we don't own these athletes, right? We could try to guide them.
Of course. That was more of my question. How do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's like that old, like, oh, you can't train here, you can't train there. Like, you can't control what people do.
Right, I agree 100%.
And if you're putting those rules, to me, that's an insecurity.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about on the level. That's has to be a sign of insecurity or ego.
Yeah. And the same thing is like, I could just try to guide them. Like, same thing, David could tell them, like, hey, eat this, eat that, work out this many times a week. He gave them the jewels. Is he going to take them? That's up to him. Right. Now, when they fail, hey, we told you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all we can do is just try to give them the information, and then if they use it, they use it.
Yeah. But, do you guys use that back room in the? Yeah, I saw you have a back room for weights. You guys use that for the athletes to get them ready?
Well, whoever wants to use it is welcome to use it.
Okay.
There's a couple guys that I train back there, but it's not like we don't have programs for everybody.
Right.
It's basically whoever wants to use it. It's there.
Yeah. That's good that you have it. It's like you get everything that you need out of that gym.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? If you need to use something for conditioning or strength conditioning, got it there. You get the rules in. Is there any activities that you guys think that you should be doing, like auxiliary activities, active activities, other than jiu-jitsu? What's the best one?
Like to get better at jiu-jitsu?
Right. So like if you're training jiu-jitsu, do you think that there should be one?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you should strength train for sure. And then if you're a competitor, you should be doing additional cardio, whether it's like HIIT training or steady state, a combination of both. Actually, that's what I would recommend for all competitors.
Yeah, for recovery.
Recovery. I mean, it depends on what you can afford, right?
Right.
So
that's true. Yeah.
So like sleep, rest would be number one because it's free, right?
I lost that with my kids. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah. So sleep, naps. And then after that, just like making sure that your protein's right, making sure that you're hydrated.
That's a big one, dude.
Yeah.
Hydration's a big one. Like I gotta start doing that, but it seems that's one a lot of people forget about is hydration.
For sure. Steven's really big on like certain minerals like magnesium, things like that. But in terms of rest, like more than anything, it's just sleep. That's what I would recommend. That's cheap. Easier to do.
That's good. Everybody
like even
enjoys
naps, right?
Yeah.
Like I know you were saying with the kids, right? It's hard with the kids, obviously, but if you have the opportunity to take a nap, like 30-minute nap after you train, like do it.
That's cool. That's cool. So what do you guys want to accomplish at Mortalis? Like I know you guys opened up not recently, but you guys opened up like 2 or 3 years ago.
Like coming up on 2.5 years.
Which is great. I read that most businesses fail in the first year, so you guys are doing good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's great. It's a blessing. So what are your plans with Mortalis? What do you guys want to do with it? You just want to keep it no-gi grappling? You want to go in other areas?
I think we're gonna always be like grappling based business. We definitely would like to grow in size as far as student base.
Well, that's gonna come with your competitor.
Yeah.
You got some savages.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get some trials winners in the next 5 to 10 years.
Ooh, trials.
Trial winners and somebody going to the ADCC. You know, that's our goal right now. That's our Olympics. You know, so that's definitely a goal for us as far as I could say. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that we have like business specific goals.
Right.
But more than anything, it's just like getting our guys, like getting the team as good as possible, you know, and then everything else will kind of take care of itself, you know.
That's a daily struggle to get those people ready. Like it's such a, like, at least in my opinion, jiu-jitsu is such a like a minuscule improvement every day that it's hard to see like the progression of that. So like that's why I like to ask the long-term goals, because if I ask you like, oh, what's the short-term goals, it's kind of hard to measure it. You know what I mean? So ADCC that's a pretty good one. And you guys got some game competitors.
Yeah.
Is there one that you think that's gonna? Because I think Steven.
Yeah.
So crazy.
I mean, all of them are good, right? Like all the guys that I mentioned.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. I'm not trying to
really
compare them that way.
Big's in the mix, you know.
Right.
Damien, some of Amanda, like she puts her mind to it. Amanda, one of our females, she's excellent. Shannon is excellent. So we definitely have a number of people that can do well. But right now, the person that's the most ready to take off is Steven for sure.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, Steven has a complete game right now.
Yeah.
I feel like Damien would be the next one as far as quickly as he's progressing. I think he would be our next runner up. And Vic is up there too. Because when Vic is laser focused, Vic is a problem.
So you guys are thinking like next, not the Abu Dhabi that's coming out, but the one that comes afterwards, you should set him in there?
Yeah, we're going to try to, we're going to make a run at any trials, definitely, yeah. It's going to be like, Steven's definitely going to be making runs at the trials a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
I know Damien's going to jump in too, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's good experience for him, right? So
yeah,
I feel like by the time he does it a couple times, he's going to definitely be one of the guys that people are going to be keeping their eyes on. Him and Steven, I would say.
And you guys encourage your athletes to train other places.
Oh yeah, to cross train for sure.
For sure, right? So you guys are always like, go wherever you want, bring that stuff back, go wherever you guys are going to go. That's great, man. Honestly, I think that, at least in my experience, that cutting off that cross training is really hindering development a lot. Like I'm not a competitor, so the way that I get better is cross training. Yeah. I think that competition is great, but for me, it's got to be cross training.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I tell some of my students sometimes, like I tell them to go out there and go to ground game, go to 10 planning, go to Daniel Perez, especially when you're plateauing, right? Like you're rolling with the same person or the same group of people. You learn each other's games, right?
Yeah.
So what better way to test yourself than go somewhere else where there's guys that haven't rolled with you for a few weeks. Check your game out. I bet you it works. You know, it's just, we're all adjusting to each other's games, and that what helps elevate everybody in the room together.
Yeah.
So when you allow cross training, you open them up to the whole world of jiu-jitsu as a community, and then they can test to see their jiu-jitsu is good. There's a lot of schools that are in bubbles.
Yeah, man.
There's bubbles that are formed, and they're like, oh, I'm the man. But they only train with them themselves.
Right.
And then when you'll see them when they go and compete, they get mopped up.
Right.
And there's a reason for that, you know?
Yeah,
so it's good to have a really good community where you can go train at other places. And it's also, man, it's cool, man. I tell my students, you network, man. You make so many friends. I have friends all over the country through jiu-jitsu that I could go to certain states and I have a place to stay at. They can take me out to eat, whatever, and just the friendships you make, the networking. You never know. Some of these people open up gyms. Some of the people I met back in the days that were coming up with me now are gym owners. They own brands. And it's beautiful, you know? So I try to tell my students, like, hey, man, take advantage of this community. Right. Cross-train. Like, we really put an emphasis on cross-training.
And that's important to say that a lot of these schools that they have this bubble, like you were saying, and then when they go to a competition thinking they're the man, they get smoked. Yeah. It's because they weren't exposed to anybody else. Yeah. What are you supposed to, like, that's really a big hindrance for your students when you create that bubble culture, like I know all the answers. And a lot of times they don't know all the answers. They just feel bullshit down. Yeah, nobody does. They just feel the bullshit down their throats. And you can kind of see it too. When you see these instructors talk or whatever, you talk to these instructors and they're just feeding you bullshit and closing everything off. You can tell. Mm-hmm. You can tell. Maybe ask them a question they don't know and they just make some shit up.
And it's okay to say you don't know.
Right, man.
Like
100%.
I'll tell my students, like, hey, man, like I'm not really sure about your question. I'll get back to you.
Right.
Like I will take a note and I'll get back to my students. Like, hey, look, the question you asked me, this is what it is.
And then in that case, you get better too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
for sure.
if you don't know what the hell they're asking or whatever, you can go back, study tape, or study an instructor, or study somebody else. That's a beautiful thing about the internet, man. The internet has really made jiu-jitsu like go from here to here, like that.
Yeah, before it's like you buy a DVD. I still have them. I have
Yeah, me too.
DVDs, like I have Tom de Blast, like Half Guard Domination. I have a bunch of like old DVDs still in my house, and it was just like you have to pop it in the DVD. Now it's like you could carry it on a hard drive.
Yeah, man.
Or you can pull it up on your phone. You know, I think BJJ Fanatics changed jiu-jitsu like on like a big scale.
Dude, I remember buying a sample DVD to learn leg locks.
Wow.
That was a while ago. I bought a sample DVD, and none of those leg locks on that DVD seem like they work. Now that I look at them, I'm like, that doesn't look like it's real shit.
I'm sure there's something in there.
I don't know, man. I'll bring the DVD. You be the judge, but I don't think so, man. It's just super weird. It's a super weird DVD. But yeah, and I think that the internet has really popped open the game, and it's really allowed to expose a lot of people that were like creating this bubble in jiu-jitsu that I know all the answers, because when you see them explain certain scenarios and you can go back and see high level people do something that's opposite to that, it really exposes people without, this old school mentality. It really exposes them.
Yeah, it's something that people that like study like Danaher, he'll show things that you thought you knew how to do.
Yes.
And you're like, wait a second.
Does that happen to you? Like, did you ever like watch it like a Danaher
sure.
DVD and you're like, fuck, man?
All the time. Like I'll come to David and Steven or, like our group of competitors. We kind of like talk sometimes about technique, and I'm like, look what I'm working on. You know how you guys do this? Well, this is how they're doing it now.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And it's like, it's always changing. And it's sometimes the smallest little thing that you don't even think about trying to problem solve. And you come with that, you come with that little fix, and it could change your game. A lot of times when I go to seminars, I don't remember 80% of it. I might leave with 20%, but it might be those small details that impact my game. Yeah.
I think that everybody's retention is that way, that you get 20% of what you earn. Like maybe even students that go into classes, like let's say you show a series, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to get everything down, which I'm pretty sure you guys know that, but like that's why it's good to teach like somebody for a week.
Yeah, we do more than a week because of that, because and then situational sparring and stuff like that.
That was another thing. Like I'm starting to notice that a lot of people are doing, they're not that they're letting go of the rolling, they're allowing it for like an open mat session at the end. And you guys seem to be doing that too.
Yeah, we do that too.
Did you always start doing that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Maybe I haven't seen it, but like Brown gonna do it and you guys did. I'm like, wow, it seems like that's the way to do it.
And lately I've also been doing like the first round, you have to be in that position that we're working on.
The first round of rolling?
Of your rolling, yeah.
Okay.
So if we were doing split squat, you're going to be in split squat. And then wherever it goes, it goes. If somebody taps each other, switch positions. The other person starts on top of split squat. So it forces them in that position.
So they start there, but let's say they're starting half guard. If they pass half guard, it's not that they start again. That's not the situation.
That's a regular round.
Oh, okay.
That's your starting point. Instead of starting standing or on your butt, you're going to start in that position.
That's great.
Headquarters or whatever. It forces you in that position.
Right.
Because I have, you'll see that in every school. You could show whatever, and they're going to go back to what they like doing, right? And that
creates holes.
Yeah, and for some people, it's because it's safety, right? Like It's like I know that I could just lay on somebody and just stay here and not get tapped, and that's like a victory or something.
Right.
But now I'm forcing you in that position, so now you have to problem solve there.
Yeah, man, that's great. Like I was exposed to that when I started ground game theory, and when I started seeing that, I'm like, I like that way of teaching because it forces you. Because maybe it was just me, but I always fall back into whatever my position was. Like if I was a half guard, like half guard, I'll find a way, even if I'm not trying to end up back in half guard. So putting your start in that position, it's the best way for students to develop, man. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of schools are going to start doing that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also, as you progress, like you yourself progress, you should put yourself in those positions anyways, right? Because, like, for example, how many times is Melo going to get his back taken if he doesn't want to let anybody take his back? You know what I mean? So how do you get better at defending the back? How do you get better at, any position, right? Even like a guillotine or a triangle, how do you get out of those positions when you know that you're going to stop it way ahead? Mm-hmm. Kind of, put yourself in those spots. So we do some of that, like we we do the situational stuff, but like also the people that are trying to get better at jiu-jitsu, they have to take it upon themselves to put themselves in those positions.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I'm assuming the reason you guys are more nogi focused is because of the way that the industry is going. Am I right?
Melo hates the gi.
I hate the gi. I used to like the gi.
There's a lot of people that hate the gi though.
I mean, I'm not saying I hate it. It's just like
but I get what you're saying.
I drifted away from it. It's like I don't see a purpose for it in my life, But
you live in Miami.
It's too hot.
Yeah,
even traveling with it, like it's just too much space in your luggage.
Yeah.
No, I used to be a gi guy, even from the beginning, and it was just
when you started training, you had to be a gi guy.
Well, my coach was MMA originally, back then. Like, I mean, he was doing trials and he was going to ADCC and stuff.
Right.
But he was MMA, so it's like more gi. They did no gi also. I mean, they did both at that time, but I was doing gi. And then when he started getting kind of out of MMA, he started getting into more like submission grappling and getting back into that scene. So as I was doing the leg locks, sometimes I would come into gi classes and he'd be like, hey, you have your no gi stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, all right, cool. We're going to drill in the middle after I teach. I'm like, all right, cool. So that started taking me away. And then also hanging out with Ruben. And when I would go with Ruben on seminars, all his seminars were pretty much no-gi seminars. So, he's like an OG leg locker. If you guys don't know what, like Ruben Alvarez, like.
Yeah, I think I saw him I was at Mike Cardozo's gym for a little bit, and he would go and he would teach a lot over there.
Yeah.
He's just to make sure I'm thinking about the right guy, he's a cop now?
Yeah, he's a SWAT team up in Broward, yeah.
He went viral with some takedown he did to somebody who was arresting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the wrong guy to run from.
Yeah.
Dude. And he's like, he comes from a lineage of cops. His dad trains with us too, senior Pitt. And so he definitely has. Yeah, his dad is a tough man, funny, hilarious, but that's one guy you do not want to mess with either, So, yeah, working with those two guys, they were just like so no-gi heavy that I kind of drifted from it. And then I would just do the gi every once in a while, just to kind of go up the ranks. I'll just wear it. Yeah. And then still my grappling was still like, I was using my no-gi all the time in the gi. I rarely use the lapels and stuff, but I didn't like it. I just feel like no-gi is more applicable across more sports, right? Like you want to do MMA, you're not going to train gi anymore, And if you're coming from wrestling, it's not appealing like, oh, we're going to put this on you. You're going to wear this. And
so they can choke you with it.
Yeah, so they can choke you with it. Yeah, and that's like frustrating, right? You come from wrestling, you're used to smashing people, and then you pass somebody's guard and they loop choked you. It's like, I mean, it's a great thing, it's its own thing. I feel like it's separate, especially
like
now.
Two different sports.
Yeah, that's the mentality I see as well. It's two different sports. Like you can no longer think. I think it's detrimental to think that and treat them as the same.
Yeah,
it's just impossible.
The gi is such a weapon,
right?
Like if you take that away, a lot of these guys don't do well in no gi, right? So what happens if you're in the street, the guy has no shirt on?
You ask him to put a shirt on. They got
a jacket on.
Hold on, I got a jacket in the car. Give me a quick second.
Put my mouthpiece on. So yeah, for me, you move more too, man.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
I also came from a school where it was a lot of big guys, so you didn't want that big, sweaty, hairy belly on your face, and he's just, holding onto the gi and you're just like stuck there, No, gi gives you more opportunities to kind of.
Yeah, and you also have to deal with those opportunities too, like the scrambles. There's more scrambles in no-gi, and I guess if you're in training no-gi, you're gonna have to learn how to do those scrambles. You're supposed to, you know what I mean? And gi, there's not really that many scrambles. There are scrambles, of course, but with grabbing the lapel and grabbing the gi, you're gonna be able to stop it a lot quicker. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah. So when we were gonna open up Mortalis, I didn't want to teach any gi at all.
Were you guys one of the first to do it? Like the no-gi, like focus on no-gi when you're in Miami?
I mean, 10 Planet.
Right.
I think Gabe opened up first. I'm pretty sure. Gabe definitely opened up first. But he's 10 Planet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I think we opened up before Game Theory. So I think we were one of the first that was like.
Well, no-gi heavy.
That's what I mean, yeah.
We do still have a couple gi classes.
Yeah, you're 1 in the morning, right?
Yeah, 2 in the morning, Mondays and Friday, but at 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
That's super early.
That's super early. That's good. There's some people that like to train at that time.
Yeah. We have a nice little group that goes at that time. Tony Diaz, who just got his black belt.
I saw that. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, Tony's awesome. He runs that in the morning with Vic. Vic also teaches in the morning.
Yeah.
So then we have no-gi on Wednesdays in the morning, and I just started Tuesday, Thursday, 7 a.m., which I teach in the morning. So
That's great.
yeah, we used to have gi at night, man, but like,
When was the last time you put on a gi?
I think it was early last year. Damien was talking crap that he can still kick my ass in the gi. Like, were you cursing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I can kick your ass in the gi. I was like, bro, I still got a couple gis in the car. This is a guy that used to have like 18 gis.
You used to have 18 gis?
Bro, I used to have
Show
show
your
your rolls and
rolls,
everything.
yeah.
I used to sell them, buy them for 200, flip them for 4.
That's smart, bro.
It's like the sneaker game, you know? They had like the cements, all that. So I was into that. So I still have gis. Right now, there's gis in my car.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case, you know,
So
Damien
we talk
talks crap,
shit.
you know? So I think the last time Damien was talking smack, and I was like, bro, I'll go get the gi right now. So I put the gi on and showed him what's up, and then, you know,
You put it away.
Put it away.
Next
man.
time. For next time.
It's just, I don't like it.
What about you, David?
I don't mind it.
Yeah?
I don't mind it. I mean, I know I came from the wrestling, but I definitely like it more than Melo. And and in the kids class, I do. So I wore a gi this morning. I was in my gi this morning.
Yeah.
Teaching the kids class. So I definitely don't mind it. I do. I think especially for beginners, it's not terrible.
Okay.
You know? But definitely, like, at some point, if you want to take it serious, like a competitor, you gotta choose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
It doesn't make sense to waste half your week of training
100%.
in one or the other,
Right.
depending on what you're gonna do. You know, but I like it. I mean, there's certain jokes that are fun to do.
Right.
You know, like, lasso and some of the cool things that you can do in the gi that you can't do in no gi. But that being said, if I had to choose, definitely I prefer no gi.
What about, you were talking about kids and I brought up this question. So do you think, what about the gi for kids? Because there's this pageantry when it comes to the gi, and it might keep like their attention for a little bit longer. Do you think that's a good element to have, or not really?
I mean, I don't even look at it like that.
No?
I just want them to be able to compete more.
Okay.
So there's more options if they do both, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
You know, so my kids, they have to do both.
Okay.
You know? But later on, I imagine, I don't know what's gonna happen with my youngest,
Yeah.
Layla, because as she gets older, maybe she doesn't want to do it as much. But
Right.
it seems like Devin wants to wrestle, so he'll probably at some point, do a little bit more wrestling, a little bit less jiu-jitsu, and then I think that'll make him more of a strictly no-gi guy.
Yeah. There's more opportunities in no-gi too.
Yeah, there's more shows, ways to make money, I feel, in no-gi.
Yeah, it's been that way for a while. There's a book that I'm reading that's called Choke 2 or whatever, and they talk about how they had to strip the gi back then just to make it entertaining. So now it's like just coming to people's eyes that it's more entertaining in no-gi. And what are you gonna accomplish? Like, you get an IBJ world champion, but which is a great accomplishment at black belt. But you don't see or recognize the names as much as you would in Abu Dhabi champion. No. So if you want to go far in this game and make it your living, and so you have to cater your focus to that no-gi element.
Yeah, even like we work a lot with wrestlers and stuff, and you'll see that they know some of the no-gi people. Like they'll mention like, oh yeah, we know who Gordon is or whatever.
Yeah.
Greg Jones.
Yeah.
That guy's hilarious.
Well, it like I said again, the gi kind of, it's like a barrier, right? Like you're a wrestler, you see the gi, you're like, that's something else. But when you see no gi, it's like, oh wait, it kind of looks like what we do, but they can choke each other, right? So it brings those viewers. There's people that watch wrestling that never wrestled, right? But there's not that many people that watch jiu-jitsu that don't do jiu-jitsu at all, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we get some bleeding of those viewerships from the wrestling people,
right,
that watch, no-gi grappling.
Yeah, if you want to take the sport to the next level and to bring in eyes that maybe aren't even hobbyists, you're gonna have to simplify it for the viewer. And if you throw on the gi and people are throwing spider guards and there's these advantages and all this bullshit, you're just gonna drive people away.
Yeah. It's super technical and it's cool, but there's a lot of stalling.
Right.
A lot more ways to stall. And it happens in no-gi also, depending on the rule set.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I feel like there's more opportunity. And that's up to the athletes too, but nobody wants to lose, right? Like,
no.
So guys are just trying to win. And I feel like the IBGF has created a bunch of grapplers that are just trying to get that advantage to win.
Right.
Like they train for an advantage. They don't train to like really dominate.
Right.
To really like get that sub. It's just like, we have a certain game plan. We're gonna stick to it, and we should be able to get this advantage, or for almost passing or whatever. Like
Yeah. And a lot of those athletes, they're really good at this one particular system and know how to get there from the beginning. And they'll just get that position, hold it for whatever's left to get a side mount, and just hold it. You know what I mean? That's not. And I was talking to somebody else, and that's not the reason why we started jiu-jitsu. To fucking stay in that position. I mean, if you can hold the guy down, I get it, but you're trying to look for that submission. Yeah. And I think in no-gi, it's harder to hold somebody down.
It is.
To have that person on side mount for a while, it's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, especially as longer, like if the match goes longer, you're sweatier, and that sweat helps to get out.
No, 100%. I agree with that. I think that's the direction the sport's going. Just because more people are more entertained by that, by the speed of no-gi and the technical abilities that you have to play. I mean, gi's technical, right?
Yeah. No, gi's super technical.
It's technical.
I think it's more technical because you have the added gi.
Right.
It adds another layer of complexity to it.
And that's the thing. That layer of complexity also drives away viewership and drives away people.
Yeah, they don't even know what's going on.
They don't know what the fuck is going on. So if you obviously jiu-jitsu is going to be complex, but if you add another layer to that motherfucker, how are you going to get people to watch the sport?
No.
You're not. You're not going to get the people to watch the sport. So I think no-gi is the way to go, and that's the future of jiu-jitsu. Really.
No, for sure, I agree.
There's no really. I mean, people like the gi. You can train the gi, and there's always going to be IBJJF World Championship. But with Abu Dhabi, everything they're throwing down the hallway, I think what you guys are doing is probably the best decision.
Well, you look at PGF, they're doing like $100,000 tournament.
PGF, is that the Grand Prix?
Brandon McCarran, I think this is his last name.
Yeah.
$100,000 event that he's doing.
That's great.
And there's another thing that's going on too. It's like $100,000. So there's like these events that are paying money now.
Yeah.
And there's no like politics. I mean, as far as on the face level, right? There's no politics of like, do you have your card, whatever. You could be a blue belt, and if you're good enough, you're gonna fight the black belt.
I like that.
I
like that.
If you're a pro level, doesn't matter your belt.
That's what. I like that. I don't like when you see in a tournament that they're breaking it down by level, which needs to be happen sometimes. But as a viewer, as a fan, if you consider yourself a pro, you're a pro.
Yeah.
Like you could be a good blue belt and be considered and get paid for your event or whatever. I think that's the way to do it. If you consider yourself a pro, you should go out and submit black belts too, especially in no-gi. I think that's the way to do it. I think it's great that these events are coming out and they're starting to pay athletes, and it's just going to make our sport a lot better.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we have the old school mentality of IBJJF that hasn't grown the sport much. You know what I mean? Hasn't done much. So what are we going to do with that?
Yeah, you'll see, especially with the wrestlers, when they come in, like you have a college wrestler come in, and so he's technically a white belt, right?
Yeah.
But then he mops, higher level guys. Like, how do you justify that? How do you say that, like the belt? Not to say that the belt doesn't mean anything, of course, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm happy to be a black belt. Melo's happy when he got his black belt. All of that, right? But what does the belt really mean if you're getting your ass whooped? You know what I mean? So, a no-gi allows for that, right? Like, the better guy, regardless of what your supposed belt is gonna win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's really what's supposed to matter. Like, the belt system is so that you have like kind of a gauge of the knowledge in jiu-jitsu that you have, right?
Okay.
Like the amount of time that you've been in jiu-jitsu and how much knowledge you've acquired specifically of jiu-jitsu, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're better,
right?
Like, what belts are you?
Brown.
Okay, so you're a brown belt. So let's say we go and we roll and you fuck me up, right? What does that mean? I'm still
I
a
got
black
lucky?
belt. No, like I'm saying, like you if you're better, you're better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter that maybe I know 100 more moves than you.
Yeah.
So what? You know what I mean? Like, you still beat me.
It's the applicability of the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You have to separate the applicability and what you know between the two.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to get at. Like the belt system is what you know and what you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's still important, and I'm definitely not saying like that there shouldn't be a belt system.
Right.
But in no-gi, you're getting, who the better guy is because like they're actually going at it. You know what I mean? So like, what's this guy's name? J-Rod. Right?
Yeah.
So J-Rod, beating these high-level black belts, right? Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what belt he is.
Right.
I don't know what belt he is now.
He's a black belt now.
Oh, is he a black
I think
belt?
is that
Nice.
Nicky Rod?
Nicky Rod just got his black belt.
No,
I think
J-Rod.
J-Rod's like
No, J-Rod's purple belt.
purple.
Okay, so you got a purple belt that's competing with the best black belts in the world, and he's subbing them. What does that mean? So I don't know. I just think that no-gi allows for more of like finding out who's really the best.
Yeah.
Where some of these other competitions, they kind of like hide, within their
Rule set.
weight, age, like, I don't know, if you're, and this is not to take anything away from anybody, but if you're like a Masters 3 purple belt and you weigh 120 pounds, and then you're the world champion, like, cool, but, it's not the same as like 80cc champ, you know what I mean? So Nogi allows for like a more real, like you really know who's the best. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where IBJJF kind of,
they kind of like hide behind the rule set and the belt system and all that stuff. That's a great point.
But I do think like in the gi though, it does make a difference to belts as far as the technical ability, because you really see the difference in levels. Let's say in IBJJF, you see those blue belts.
Okay.
As great as they are, they're not those black belts yet.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that that gap is closed in no gi.
You don't think there's like blue belt, like you don't think there's blue belt level adults that could technically win black belt level adults in gi.
If they started as kids, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like that.
That's what I'm saying. So like, there's, I get what you're saying. Then the gi's more applicable. I think it's because of the gi. You get what I'm saying? Like, because of the technique, amount of techniques that are there and what they're learning. Because when you get put on a gi, and the reason for no gi is because you don't have to worry about learning all the gripping systems and the spatter and lassos. That's going to take time and progression, right? You bring in a wrestler that's been gripping and has been grappling, because what we do is grappling, right? So he transfers into no gi and he's able to submit black belts because he's really been grappling for a lot longer. In gi, if you don't know anything and you have to learn all that gripping system, then that makes sense to have that belt system.
Yeah. I think another way you can look at it too is like no-gi, we're training more like a sport than a martial art these days. So you're getting more athletes, you're getting, faster progression through things versus in following certain rule sets due to a martial arts system,
But how do you separate the two? Like, what do you
I'm
mean?
just saying the way they're training now. Like, if you look at like how wrestlers train, it's like it's not whose belt or whatever. Like, you can't roll with a black belt. You can't ask a black belt. Like, you could ask anybody in our school to roll. I think those type of rules slow things down. You want to train like it's a sport. Like wrestling, they train like a sport.
So you're saying like the rules that they put in a martial arts school that this is, you can't ask to train with a higher belt.
I feel like that's a factor. It's one of the factors. It's many factors. I just feel like that's one of the factors. And then allowing everybody to be able to compete together, like let's say 80cc. Like, you have kids coming up from teenage that do adults and they're winning now. So like these kids are training like full-time athletes. They're not going to school. They're not going to school. The local high school, they're going to homeschool. They're training like full-time athletes, getting their meals made and everything. So everybody's treating it like a sport rather than a martial arts as you do as a hobby. And I think that's happening more with no-gi.
And do you think that started to happen now? I mean, you said
I would say in the last couple of years.
Right. Okay. It's not something that's happening like this year. It's something that's happening ever since, like, I guess Gordon came into the scene. Would you say?
Well, probably a little bit after. There are no gi schools that are doing that, like Atos. All those schools have been training like a full sport, but I say, generally speaking, for the most of the United States, they don't train like that. So I think that's the difference. There's like a lot of these new no-gi schools are training like it's a sport.
Yeah.
Like Vans is this weekend, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even remember until today. Like,
I watched some matches, but I haven't really focused on. I get bored really quickly. Like, I know instructionals are important. I know instructors are important and to watch them, but I'd rather do it than watch it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Most people don't watch matches. Yeah.
Unless it's like a high level match.
Even that, like I watch certain people that I'm interested in or that we might be working on something that they do. So I'll just watch it after it's gone live, and then that way I can speed through like, oh, how did he do that pass? And, I'll just take little clips and then I'll just study like that because it's just time consuming to watch every single event.
Yeah, man, there's so many events too.
Yeah.
I like to catch whatever I see that's cool on Instagram, like whatever's a cool like setup, I'll watch that match.
Yeah.
watch that and see how that goes. Well, before I wrap you guys up, we're finishing up. Is there anything you guys want to relay? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to let people know about Mortalis? Anything up and coming?
Yeah. What I want to say is give us a follow at Mortalis Jiu Jitsu on Instagram.
When's your open mat?
Open mats on Sundays. We don't have this one this Sunday or whenever this airs.
Good.
We should have every open mat.
This is next Friday.
Okay.
So the Friday that's coming.
So every Sunday we're open 11 a.m. for.
Unless we have something special.
And you guys will post about it.
Yeah, we'll post 11 a.m. open to anybody that wants to come in. Almost anybody who wants to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, our school's open for all levels. We're not like just a competitor school. We take kids, cops, moms, anybody.
Yeah, it's a great school.
Yeah, so we definitely have a family environment, and we do have that competition level if you want.
Which is hard to balance, really.
Yeah, it is. But
you guys do a great job.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful school, and you guys do balance it. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. Hope I didn't take too much of your time. It was a great conversation, and hopefully we can do it again.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Did you do this?